Okay, I think we're starting to move into position. Great opportunity to say, have you met anyone else from the other side of the bridge? Oh no, they're all trying not to make eye contact now.
Yeah, they've looked down at their phones the moment you asked that. Okay.
It's okay.
Should we make it easy for them
Yeah.
then? Yeah.
We will not come into the audience. I know some of you will be very disappointed to hear that. Instead, because you know I don't like you sitting there on your phones doing nothing, put Candy Crush down, everyone. Let us have a look around you. Can you see someone wearing a different coloured sticker? So I happen to be wearing one that is blue.
And mine's purple for health.
Hey, you know what we do when we see someone with a different coloured sticker? High five. Can we? Have a look around, see if you can find someone and give them a high five. Oh yeah, we're going to do this. Don't be embarrassed. It's nearly the weekend. I'm looking out for a high five. Can you see someone wearing a different coloured sticker? Or have you all sat in your gangs, your tribes?
Don't be shy to look.
Look behind you.
Yeah. Look around you, look in front of you. Right? If you see someone from the other side, say hello, give a high five. All right? That's what this whole conference is about.
Oh, look, I feel some efforts here. There's some sticker exchange. Oh, there's a mini high five, a mini high five.
There we go.
Oh, well done, guys.
Thanks, Posh.
No major high fives. Okay, you're ready. You're ready for the final closing segment, which is called Meet Our BFFs. You remember what that stands for? This is our modern take on, I guess, pen pals, if you ever had them when you were younger, life before email. Those of you who were here earlier today would have caught the panel which introduced us to some of social service sector's key leaders. Well, some time ago, we connected 3 of those panelists, each to a friendly stranger from a different country. And these strangers just happened to be our CHI council members.
We asked each pair to see if they could build a bridge simply by sending a message to each other, to a stranger actually, in which they would just openly talk about their challenges and ask for help. So the theory was that this very simple act would start that bridge building, and then we could complete the bridge building live here on stage at CHI INNOVATE. So now, in this final segment, we're going to reunite or unite these BFFs live on stage, all right, to see if they can take it a step further by sorting their problems out for each other.
So this is a bit more fun, informative fun that we think the whole theme of the day has been about. So without further ado, let's show the 2 video messages that were exchanged between our first BFF pair, Jonathan Gray from the NHS in Cardiff, and Miss Nancy Ng from the Ministry of Social Development and Family in Singapore. Roll video, please, yes.
Roll the video.
Dear Nancy, it is amazing to learn of your exciting journey in social work. I've done some research and I really enjoyed our brief conversation recently. It is truly impressive what you've achieved. I'm really excited to find out what you have in store for us for the future. You've played a big part in developing the future generation of social workers in Singapore. I'm trying to develop future generations of leaders too. Can I draw on your wonderful experience? I have so many questions, and here's just one. How do you facilitate the transition, the passing of the baton from the seasoned and experienced older leaders, perhaps like me, to the younger next generation? I am so grateful for the invitation to come to Singapore. Without doubt, one of my favourite countries in the whole world, as I think you know. And I can't wait to talk with you, Nancy. Goodbye, and see you soon.
Hi, John. Greetings from Singapore. What a great journey you have been across the world, from New Zealand, the US, and now back in the UK, building the Dragon's Heart Institute and cultivating emerging leaders who will be driving innovation and inspiring positive change. Lately, I have observed a growing sense of polarization across the world with more and more diversity of views. So how do you think we can and should deal with these emerging voices of polarization, specifically in the differences in value systems between the younger generation and the older generation? Coming from a social worker perspective, I find it can be a challenge to transform the values espoused by a social worker as they transit into a leadership role. Would you have insights into how we can address such polarization and further activate both our generations to come to the middle ground? Thanks for taking my question, and I can't wait to meet you in person. See you soon.
Wow, okay, that's teed us up nicely for what's next. It sounds like we're going to be hearing a little bit about leadership and intergenerational opportunities. Perhaps I can invite Nancy and Jonathan to join us on stage, please. Please give them a warm applause. Thank you.
Okay. Hi. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm back. Right. We have very short time, so I think I'll go straight into addressing some of the questions that Jonathan has posed. So first and foremost, I just want to clarify that I don't have a magic solution, which I think if I have it, I'll become a triple billionaire by now. So I think leadership for our younger generation is something that I pay a lot of attention to, both as an educator and as a social worker over the years. And I'm sure there are many of you who are educators. That means you teach, whether in a university or in the polytechnics. And when you look at the generations of young people graduating from the program, or rather when I look at them, I really am a little bit worried. Earlier we talked about mental health, which I think in our country we talk about mental health a lot. And seriously, our young leaders, or the young people who are going into the world, which is very, very complex compared to my world when I graduated, and eventually becoming leaders, I really wonder how would they be able to cope with all the complexities and the demands that is required of them as future leaders. So over my years of working with students as well as other young leaders who I kind of like, sometimes they come to see me and we have conversations, there are a few things that I would usually say to them. One of which is, if you are in a leadership position, there are a few things you need to consider to cultivate or to learn to have. One of which, okay, I'll call it CPF. CPF in Singapore is a very meaningful word. All right, the C will refer to courage. And I always encourage my students as well as my young friends to say, you know, to take on a leadership role, first and foremost, build up your courage. As we know, our young friends, our younger generation people, being popular is very important. And if you want to become a leader, popularity is not something that you want to strive for. Because if you do that, if they do that, it will be difficult for them to hold the role as a leader, because there are difficult conversations they need to have as leaders. So that was one thing that, one values that I will encourage my students to develop. And if my younger colleagues, when they take on a leadership role, that's one values that I will ask them to take on. The second values that I suggest to them, I won't call it values, maybe it's a behavior, which is persistence. A lot of times when there are failures as a leader, it will be quite tempting to just walk away and don't do it. And I always say, sometimes you just have to wait for all the stars to be aligned. So there was one of my speakers in Spark, which I talked about earlier, Mr. Chua Chin Kiet, was telling our participants in those days about being a sleeper agent. Sleeper as a S-L-E-E-P-E-R, being a sleeper. Because when he was the commissioner of prisons, there were many things he wanted to do, but he couldn't do it because of whatever reasons, right? So he took on that role as a sleeper, and then eventually see what he did. Those of you who know Mr. Chua Chin Kiet, our Singapore prison system became what it is now because he was the innovator and the agent of change that transformed our whole prison system. And I think persistence is something that I think as a leader we should have that. The last but not least is flexibility. Being willing to walk the roads, not to walk the main roads, but the side streets. And that was something else that I encourage our young leaders to have. So if you ask me, do I have a solution? I do not have a solution except to be involved in young people's lives and having conversation with them to help them to understand or really to open their perspectives. So that is what yes, the last part, last statement, which I also request of the audience, which many of you sitting in the audience are likely to be leaders. Some of you are older, some of you are younger. We really all have to take on that responsibility to invest in our young people, because they are our future, which I know it's a little bit of a cliche, but there is a difference during the time when we were being nurtured to become a leader, and there were people who were willing to invest in us. We must then take on this role to invest in the young. And I tell you, if we want to be cultivating this young group of leaders, there is a different mindset, different perspective that we also have to learn as leaders on how to work with them. So that is my last suggestion that I can put on the table. Thank you.
Thank you, Nancy. This BFF thing is great, and really appreciate that. Firstly, can I ask, who was that old man that was talking on the video at the beginning? It cannot have been me. And what the heck was going on? That was my office. It must have been very late at night. And yeah, I have to say, I think I look better after a 13-hour flight and a couple of jet-lag days in Singapore. I'm shocked. Do not let my mother see that picture. That was awful. And when I got the question from Nancy, I immediately did what I always do, which is try and find someone who can answer it for me. And I hadn't come to this conference, so I didn't know about Bing at that point. So I didn't have Junaid's help. So I actually put the question around my young leaders. So polarization, how do we manage that? And they come up with 5 good words, I think, which I'd just like to feed back and then get your advice on. The first is clarity. And what did they mean by that? When I interrogated them about it, they meant clarity on values. So I think that, for me, is something that Harry's been teaching us about. How do we get beneath the initial conversations and actually find some common ground around values? And I think that's what you were saying as well, Nancy, so there's a lot of that clarity. Another word that's come up a lot in this week here and today, the second C, so second C is connection. And a huge word for them, which I'm not going to talk about because it's not a C, but is a B, it's belonging. And they talked about connection and belonging as a way of managing some of that polarization. The third C was compassion. And we had an active debate about this, and Nancy, you were the one who started us thinking about this, but polarization thrives on people who can't or won't try and see another person's point of view. And they talked a lot about that, and I think that's really powerful, isn't it? That compassion. And Junaid's lovely video sort of gave us another sense of that from another point of view. And I think today's been about having compassion and seeing things from the other side of the bridge as you cross the bridge to join people. Number 4, candor. I had to make that word up. I think it's a real word, but it's something about saying it like it is, but linked to compassion. We had a long chat about how, certainly in my culture, and certainly from the north of England where I am, we'll talk for hours around a subject without actually getting to the point, as you've probably noticed. So candor, being really clear and compassionate. And the last of the 5 C's was courage. And you mentioned that, Nancy, and I think that's something that gives us all hope and inspiration with young people. I have to say more so than many of the people my age in leadership. That there's a gap there now, but young leaders are coming through in a very hopeful and courageous way. And that's the courage to bring up these difficult topics and to address them, and as leaders to hold them for people. So there's 5 C's, and they got very excited then because it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and it's holding out a hand across that divide and that polarization. So 5 C's. The one other thing that sprang to mind as you were speaking, perhaps is summed up by some of the other talks too, is vulnerability. And I know Eugene talks about this, and I think it's at the heart, as he said, of the work we're doing to cross the bridge to each other. And it's that vulnerability that we share. So I just want to be really open that my experience of the COVID pandemic was opening a hospital in 6 weeks. But during that journey, it was a very, very lonely experience. And I think there's something linked to those 5 C's about us acknowledging that it was painful and lonely, and none of us want to walk that journey on our own again. And I think that's another good reason for us to cross that bridge and meet in the middle. 5 C's to get across polarization. So that's my piece.
Wow, thanks, Jonathan. I think the 5 C's will be very helpful for me as I continue this journey of thinking through about what are some of the things we need to do when we talk about transforming leaders. Earlier I talked about in 2017, I was hoping to bring people, I was talking about the polarization of the left and the right, and hoping that the people in the middle ground would speak up more. And this concept of polarization came about because there was a recent conference that I went to, and there was a very clever professor, his name is Dr. Doherty, who actually invested a lot of his time in America, because in the American polarization, political polarization was really, as you can see earlier, the President Trump was here, right? So he was really perturbed because it was breaking down families. You know, families forgoing Thanksgiving dinner together because they cannot stand to sit at a table opposite the other person. They call it blue and red, I think. So if there's a family member who is red and they are blue, they don't want to sit down at the table together. So he was really perturbed. And so he was describing about what he did. And one very important reminder to myself is when to deal with polarization, it's not to change people's views. We are not wanting to change the left to the right or the right to the left, but we want to create a space for both the right and the left to come together and have a conversation. And that was his solution. So I thought that was really beautiful.
Last thing from me, one of the wonderful consequences of being connected to people across the world and being connected to Nancy was you go on Google and look them up, and Nancy's being very humble, and many of you will know, but I learned about the Spark program. And I'm trying to build young leadership in the UK and hopefully around the Commonwealth. Having found Nancy in the Spark program, it's my absolute ambition to join up and learn from that. And indeed, with a bit of luck, I might get an invite to join her in Taiwan, where she's running the program next March. So I just wanted to recognize her great work in actually doing what I'm trying to do, and we can hopefully join up our programs across the world.
You're welcome to come and join us. Yeah, so.
What they're saying there is they want to carry on chatting, but they're conscious of the ticking clock
We
in front
didn't
of them.
plan an ending to the conversation. So
have you solved each other's challenges? I think we've all learned a lot. Personally, I resonated with a comment about loneliness. Leadership can be lonely, driving change can be lonely, and courage has come out from both of you and throughout the day that I love the idea of being brave, but also that brings hope. So I think we have some gifts that you're sharing from the UK and from Singapore. I wonder if you both might let everyone know, because we're a bit capo, you know. We'd like to know what's inside the goodie bags that you're giving to one another. Jonathan, maybe you share with us, what have you brought from the UK? Oh, of course.
Earl Grey tea.
Had to be from Newcastle.
Jonathan Gray, Earl Grey tea.
Nancy, maybe do you want to describe for everyone in the audience what we have here?
Our favorite salted fish skin. Yeah, so I think John can enjoy them after he goes back home.
Yes, thank you so much. They are BFFs, as you can see here. Thank you so much, Nancy and Jonathan.
Next pair of BFFs are two of the most creative agitators that I've ever met, one from Bangkok and one from Singapore. So Seng Chun, you all met earlier this morning, and he talked about Liberty Kitchen and what he was the great work he does with disability, and I really encourage all of you to visit and dine in that restaurant in Singapore. And then, of course, Prof. Chet Chai from Siraj Hospital, who's the Dean of Innovation, and he has inspired us with all his imagination and his ideas that stick, not just in Bangkok, but throughout Thailand as well. So let's watch their video messages to each other, which were recorded quite a few weeks prior to this conference.
Hi, Shachai, and warmest greeting from Singapore. I've been to Thailand many times, and I'm sure many of our audience too. And so one thing that struck me the most is how progressive and creative Thailand is on many fronts. For example, your hospital has a drive-through COVID test during the pandemic. And lately I heard that the mobile ambulance with built-in CT scan. In my opinion, timely access to care is always a challenge, more so if the urgent care is needed by those who have trouble traveling due to the disability or the geography. How has Thailand, with all the small alleys and rural districts, tried to address this? I'd like to hear from you and look forward to meeting you in Singapore. See you on the 28th. Thank you.
Hello, Mr. Go Seng Shun. I'm Chachai from Sirat Hospital. I have heard so much about your amazing work at Project Dignity, and I was hoping you could share some insight on how Thailand can partner with social enterprise such as yourself. In my line of work, I look after the service innovation and implementation of disruptive technology at Sirat Hospital to improve workforce efficiency and patient accessibility. This is through projects like the 5G Smart Ambulance with AR glasses and the IoT device for real-time remote expert consultation and healthcare everywhere services. However, as we are in the situation of the staff shortage, so I would like to ask you, with your many years of experience in creating jobs and providing training for so many in the community both in Hong Kong and Singapore, what are some of the ideas that you may have for Thailand so that we as a hospital can create jobs for unemployed and retired individuals, as well as empower people with disability? I would love to know more about this from you in person and hope to see you soon in Singapore. Thank you.
All right. Two friends from Southeast Asia, and they're here with us now. So let's invite Seng Chun as well as Prof. Chachai to the stage. It looks like their issue is going to be talking about access, inclusivity, and disability. Gentlemen.
Hi. Okay, honestly, I went through the hospital's job and the things they did. I really admire the hospital's innovation and the way they approach problem. So the thing I thought about the CT scan, my first thing is that, ambulance batteries, CT scan at least 2040, 250 volt is hard, at least 2000 amp for sure. So how do you take that, having a vehicle with such a high ampere, that was remarkable. And you go everywhere.
Initially, I think we share the same challenges in the healthcare in the future. Except, for example, the aging population. We found that over the next 5 or 10 years, we have more aging population that will have difficulty access to the hospital.
That's right.
And also can cause the jam in the hospital. And also the cost of healthcare increasing, and the expectation is very high because they need faster and faster.
Yeah,
and COVID-19 helped us to rush the project. So I think what we have to redesign healthcare in the future is that we don't have to wait the patient to come to the hospital to get services. What we have to do to outreach to them, especially to the people that have difficulty in terms of the logistics to come to the hospital. So we call this project as Healthcare Everywhere Services.
Okay.
Mean that it's the same like a hospital without wall. That means the service can happen in everywhere.
Okay.
With disruptive technology, we can go everywhere to the patient house to the where that we have technology, appropriate technology that we can serve the patient. So I might show some video about what
Yes,
we have
please,
done.
please, yeah.
Please show, bring the video to the second slide, please.
Oh, yeah, in front.
To the second slide, please. The next slide, please.
Second slide.
The next slide. So the first one is during the COVID, we found that the vulnerable people cannot go to the hospital for blood tests, and then we set up the drive-through. That means they just drive and then go drop the car and then go to do the blood sampling, and then they can go home. So we're going to do tele.
Yeah, that's a good idea. That's
that
brilliant
they
idea.
don't have to come to the hospital for 3 or 4 hours.
Yeah.
And then the next slide, please. In some patients, even come to the hospital, it's very difficult. Can you please, they have the video, can go. So that means we work with the partner to go to the house. And you can see that some patient, this is the family member,
All the
bring
river canals.
out the canal and then bring our staff to go there and to do the blood sampling. So it's free for the blood result, the blood test, but they have to pay for the logistic for 500 or 1,000 baht, depending on the location. But with this expense, it's cheaper than bring the patient to the hospital.
Yeah, true.
And we found that when we work with the partner, it's a win-win-win situation. They have the job, the patient pay less, and then the hospital still can serve the patient. The next slide, please. Another one is the stroke. Can you press? Okay. Oh, no. We go back. Go. Okay. So this is the ambulance that you can see the CT that inside the ambulance, mobile CT. So when they have a problem, they call us, and then we go. Next slide, please. But the problem is...
This is the size of that's the size of the van.
Yeah, the size of the van.
That's not big.
Can you go, press a little bit? Okay. The problem is, it's so big, they cannot go to the small road.
It's a three-tonner,
So we meet in the gas station.
Oh,
So
I see.
we work with the gas station. They say we have the place that the ambulance coming in and the ambulance of CT coming in, and then we transfer the patient from the small ambulance to the big ambulance with the CT. So we gotta have the CT and the gas station, and then send the picture to the doctor at the Siran Hospital with the 5G signal. And then the doctor say, okay, give thrombolytic. So we're gonna treat the patient at the gas station. Next slide, please.
How
Please.
many, can I ask?
So
how
the
many
door to
vehicles-
needle is about 21 minutes. Yes.
How many vehicles do you have?
So we do the prototype testing to ambulance, and right now we send this idea, and then we already implement for another 4 ambulance at EEC and other area of the country.
Wow.
So can you
I like this idea.
Get another slide? Okay. And we found the result that with the ambulance CT compared to the emergency stroke patient go to the ER, the disability is much better with p-value less than 0.5. That means significant. Another one, please. Another one, please. Okay. Press video, and then please press, and then video moving. Okay. So this one is a smart ambulance. That means when they call the ambulance, the nurse gonna wear the AR glasses and body camera. When they go to the scene, the doctor can see right away. And then also the IoT device with the vital sign, the doctor at the Sira Hospital can monitor real time and then communicate with the paramedic and then prescribe or give suggestion. So this decrease the time that the doctor see the patient and make a decision. And you can see that when the staff going there, they live stream with the AR glass, and then...
Wow,
okay.
that's impressive. This is impressive.
But we found that sometimes the body camera may be much better because the nurse turn their head, the doctor have some vertigo, so with the body camera it seems to be better. So the next slide, please. And for the telemedicine, because we think that in the vulnerable group of
This is a
people,
good idea.
we might bring a work with the partner to make a cube to the place that they want to see the tertiary doctor. So this cube gonna have the you can hear the sound of the heart or the lung, and then you can do the vital sign, and then we can do advanced tele remotely.
Brilliant idea.
Yeah. So my idea is to bring treatment to the patient, to the people. Yeah.
Okay, mine's slightly different. You asked me a question about employment and all those stuff, right? My purpose is to create employment for the special needs. So I work in hospital. I got 5 bookshops that help mother and child run the bookshop. Actually, the bookshop is actually a recycling operation. We collect books and recycle, providing job for mother and child. But there are many other projects, but given the time, maybe I'll just focus on just one. It's called Dignity Avatar. You saw the robot, right? Actually, the biggest problem in hospital is getting good staff, right? And also staff shortage. Now, technology, they have different kind of robot. The one I normally saw is version 1. They go around spraying sanitizer. So robot can do a lot more than sanitizer. Version 2 is a cartoon face talking to you, That also not very advanced. Then I realized that version 3 is that we get a person who is paralyzed or retired to operate a robot, right? And this robot run around hospital, hotels, and all that, right? The one you have robot, like what we started a pilot at Jurong Hospital, Community Hospital, is actually the biggest problem is shortage of nurses, 1. 2, when you press a button, you expect the nurse to come. Nurse don't come, patients stand up. So how do you solve this problem? What I did is I took my robot. By the way, my robot really exists in Hong Kong, in Hyatt Hotel, in MTR station as ambassador service. Is very successful. I couldn't do it in Singapore. I don't know why. But I've been trying to do it in Hong Kong, and they are very supportive. My robot comes free from the government, right, to prove it. So I'm not laughing because it's a real story. So what we did is I told the hospital, let me try it out. So we put a robot there. By the person who's most important to the hospital, retired nurses. Nurses retire, they have years and years of knowledge. And so I get 4 nurses to operate a robot at Ng Tian Fong Hospital, assisting. It's very simple. You just go around. So when somebody press a button, the robot quickly go to you, talk to you, engage you. And I tell you, I have utmost respect of robot nurses. Them chong hei one, long-winded. They can talk to anyone. Right, and they will talk to you. This is a remarkable skill, and yet we lost it. So the idea is bring retired nurses, operate a robot, and actually go into hospital and actually assist, because geriatric department is very tough. And the only people who can handle old people are old people itself. Right. They will talk in Hokkien, Cantonese, Malay, whatever language. And that is the skill that you mustn't leave out. So tap on all these retired nurses, running a robot. A robot is not so simple. I went around the world trying to look for a robot. I saw one that's Terminator. So I asked, nobody will ask Terminator to get me a glass of water, correct? So I find one that's quite short and it's quite easy to manage. And it's operating now employing about 18, 19 person in Hong Kong now. Right. So I'm trying to do the next one to pilot at Alexandra Hospital. I come here for 4 times. I sold to Tan Tock Seng. No, Jasper asked me to tell you this, so I tell you this. I came here 4 times. And all 4, nothing happened, right? So if you are the management, the only problem with any project with hospital, because I work at 5 hospitals now, the people that run hospital be open-minded to try new things.
Thank you. Thank you to share this idea. I think this is brilliant because we also found this problem that if we have some like a robot for like an avatar
it's
for
very
the
simple.
nurse. Yeah, thank
no,
you.
this 4 version. Version 3 is with the human being running it. Version 4 is payment gateway. Because once you can get tapped into I'm an engineer. If you can get into payment gateway, you open the opportunity for all robot. Robot can go to as a reception, going, hey, time to collect your bill now. You can't pay the bill, you don't let you go out. That's all. So basically, the robot is using. What I'm trying to do is to actually solve the nursing problem. And there are a lot of nurses now. Now nurses in my place are all doing knitting. They are knitting the cap for the cancer patient. There are 30 of them, and they are all cheap nurses. Right? Don't miss this. Don't lose this skill.
Thank you for sharing this.
So if you want, you let me know. I can show you. I can control the robot from Singapore. If you put a robot in your place,
I will show you the robot from Singapore, I promise you. Right.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Amazing. Thank you very much.
Wait, before you go, before you go,
look.
no.
I think I have to intervene here.
This is Casey Tang.
By the way, I'm Casey. I'm the Deputy CEO. I think I have the right position. This is my card. Let's get in touch.
I'm doing this not because for me. I don't have to do this, but I want to get a chance to just to help these people. Now, before I go, can I just do 1 minute, do something? Do a stunt, I do the stunt now. Innovation, Prof. Chai will agree with me. Innovation is about the person doing it. The we start with I. So, let me show you my... One day, a person with no, it's okay. You can hear me, right? How can you Okay, hold on. Okay. One day, the reason why I'm telling you is to inspire you. Everything I do, like sign language, coffee, tea, is all about trying to solve a problem. The next time, all of you, nurses, social workers, when you come to a problem, don't give up. One day, a person with a cerebral palsy came. You know what cerebral palsy? So he walked like that, So I said, he wanted to do a job. Right. By the way, my queue is over 100 people. So I said, if you want me to help you, hold the spoon. He hold the spoon and he dropped it. So I told him, hold the spoon. If you can hold the spoon, I can help you to at least teach you how to cook. Doesn't work. So I told him to go away. Next day, he came back again. So I gave him masking, masking tape, right? And those handkerchief, right? Then I asked him to hold. Oh, brilliant, it works. But you see, masking tape, very sticky, right? You can't be cooking and the thing all drop inside there. So skip the idea. Saturday he came. His name is Elson. He got whacked by his brother. He can't get a job. Right. So I said, okay, this time we have to find a solution. Louder. You guys see what Project Dignity does. It's pure innovation. Even the layout, everything is innovation. What I'm trying to tell you, it all starts with a problem, and it starts with you. So the next time a patient comes to see you, don't give up. Meaning all this robot idea come from, actually the robot idea come from Alexandra Hospital when I broke my leg and I see this stupid robot running around spraying sanitizer. Look at the robot. Right. It must be more than that, right? Robot can do a lot of things. You all never see television, man. So basically, I tell you, the next time someone came to see you with a problem, don't give up. Thank you.
Two new friends. Two new friends and a business contact as well. That's very good. So it's time for a gift exchange. Let's see what they've brought for each other. Sing Chun, what do you have from Singapore to give to your friend? All right, Chai's brought some Thai tea. Is that right?
This is Thai tea will make you achieve healthier SG.
Sing Chun, what have you got?
This is the bread one, the Kaya one. Oh, thank you. Okay. Kaya.
All right. Round of applause for our BFFs, please. Thanks, Chai. Thanks, Sing Chun.
Okay, on to our third and final pair of BFFs. We have, again from the UK, John T. Hevesedge from the NHS and Imperial College London, and Ms. Porsche Po from Silver Ribbon in Singapore, who you heard from earlier. The pair only has one video message. This is from John T, so let's screen that and then we'll invite them onto stage. Thank you.
Hi Porsche, it's John T here, calling in from the UK. I've seen some of the incredible work that you've been leading with Silver Ribbon in Singapore to address the stigma associated with mental illness, and I would really value your advice. In England, we've seen a significant increase in the number of people experiencing mental health problems since the pandemic. In my consulting room as a GP, I'm seeing young people who feel disconnected. I'm seeing older people who feel socially isolated. And I'm seeing people experiencing significant financial stress as a result of the pandemic. That's contributing to an increase in anxiety and depression, and our services just can't keep up. I'm wondering whether you've seen something similar in Singapore and how you've tried to address this. At the moment, we've got long waiting lists, and a lot of our focus has been on the physical health needs of people since the pandemic. How do we ensure we give mental health a similar parity of esteem? And how do we ensure that we can support those people who so need our care at this time? I'd value any thoughts you have and look forward to learning with you when I meet you later this month in Singapore. Take care. Bye-bye.
So, as we heard, mental health and the various challenges. Let me please invite Jonty and Porsche onto the stage. Thank you. Yes, you're welcome to hold hands, but also this is how BFF they are. And Porsche, perhaps you could share with Jonty some of the challenges that you've also faced that you can pick his brains on.
Sure.
Thank
I have
you.
some question for him, actually. You see, that's a reason behind why I didn't do my recording. That's a reason. I have few questions for you.
Okay.
Girls, don't you think he's handsome? Yes?
I think we're starting to build a different kind of bridge at the moment, so we may want to just step back.
Hey, they didn't mention what bridge I'm supposed to build. See? They're going to escort me for the next year event. Okay, next question. Are you single?
Oh,
Yeah.
It's a little bit much.
Seng Chun, I don't need a spoon to catch attention. I have look, a handsome man.
You'll hear, it's very, very rare that I can't find the words, but you've managed to successfully silence me, which is amazing.
Thank you, John D. Actually, we met out through Zoom.
We did.
Yep. It was a very nice discussion. And the thing is, like, yes, we do face a lot of challenges in Singapore as well. And we did have a lot of people coming forward to share with their challenges. And the first batch was the youngsters, the youth coming forward to talk about their challenges and struggling with home-based learning. That's the first batch. The second batch was the elderly. And they were being reminded, oh, you're very old, you're very vulnerable to having COVID, so you're supposed to stay at home. And a lot of elderly start saying, all this life I've been spending my time at the community club, you know, or at the coffee shop, talking to someone, or attending some courses. And all of a sudden, I'm being told I'm not supposed to leave the house. So those are the challenges faced by the elderly. Then the third group are the couples. So couples, you know, you'll say hi and bye. Early in the morning, you'll say bye to your husband. At the end of the day, hi. But the thing is, during the COVID, it's like they are working from home. So they are fighting for space. They are killing each other. So you have all the domestic violence. And another group will be the migrant workers. And they were being confined, and they faced a lot of challenges. And we received a lot of requests. And even before the commencement of the circuit breaker, that's the lockdown in Singapore, I was quite worried. It happens in January 2020, when we start hearing news about those cases happening in China. I was very worried. And back then, I mean, before the pandemic, I have this firm mindset that is like, you're supposed to handle them face to face. I believe in human touch. I don't believe in technology. I don't believe in, like, you know, talking over the air. So during the pandemic, I was thinking, how can we connect with our clients or those who are struggling? And in fact, we are quite blessed. We tap on the technology. And we are one of the first 2 organizations in Singapore, besides Fei Yue, to adopt online emotional support. And we introduced this in February 2020, even before the lockdown. And we received very good response from the community calling for help. And the thing is, building bridges. The thing is, like, why are we not working closely together? What's the definition of working together? Are we competing with each other, or we are complementing each other? This is very important. And everyone, I know the importance of KPI. I know that, and I receive feedback from some of the organizations. By working closely or referring a case to another agency, will I be losing this client? That's the thing, that's the concern. But if you can put aside all the differences, let's come together and serve the community. This is very important. And the first person who contacted me was a member of parliament, Miss Tim Paylin. And she said, Porsche, shall we work on something online? And we did online talk to engage the community. And she was one of the first member of parliament to work on that. So we start having online talks to engage the community. And the second group was the religious group. Porsche, shall we work together? So we work with the Buddhist, the Christian group, coming together, engaging a pastor or a religious leader to provide advice so that they are being heard. And we also work with grassroots organizations. What is happening? Because a lot of residents, they are struggling and they do not know who to contact. And they start contacting the grassroots leaders who are helping at the ground, or meet up with the member of parliament, and they refer cases to us. And we do not provide financial support. So what do? We collaborate with Family Service Center to provide financial support or social support. This is the power of collaboration, understanding the needs, and observe their needs instead of assuming their needs. Do something what they need and not what we assume that they are in need of. I think you are in need of treatment. Are they ready for treatment? Are they open to treatment? They have so many worries. They are worried about the side effects. They are worried about the treatment costs, the financial burden. There's so much. And you being the GP, I'm not singing praises of GP just because you are handsome, okay? But the thing is, many people prefer to go to the GPs because it's less stigmatizing. It's within the heartland. I can just go to my void deck or nearby my neighborhood. There's a GP over there. And it's much more convenient. And it could be much more affordable. So accessibility and affordability when you collaborate. Sorry for talking so much.
No, please don't apologize. I mean, I think one of the things that comes across just meeting you, one is that you didn't commit over the video in the same way as you have here. I think we are going to be friends. But the other is that your passion just comes across so strongly meeting you. I mean, this is the thing. We've been talking all day today about leadership as well. And your ability to create all of that care and support, but also to see that that was going to be necessary is absolutely incredible. As I've been walking around over the last week or so, it's been clear to me that actually you do have incredible communities, but equally there are people who remain unseen very often. And one of the things I think often, because mental health isn't a visible thing, is that people are anxious about sharing that concern. I'm not saying you have to commit to every GP, but I do think GPs often are the people who are able to see all the different sides of somebody's issues and somebody's problems. And I hope that that's something that here we're able to start to build bridges between GPs and people who really understand local communities and how to generate the level of support and commitment that you have, all the way from the minister down to the local communities. And I know the amount of work that you've been doing to try to address some of the stigma associated with mental health care as well. But I guess, is there anything that I can offer? I feel I've taken so much knowledge and learning from you. Is there anything that I can offer in exchange?
We'll talk later tonight.
Okay.
Just kidding, just kidding. I'm sorry. It's your luck partnering with me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Actually,
I think okay.
You know what?
So I'm just trying to think what sort of help I might need at this point. So
You know what? Partnership with GPs are very important.
Yeah.
You know, not solely with him, okay? The thing is, like, partnership is very important, and GP is the first point of contact, and it makes persons with mental health issues feel really comfortable. And at times, we do not know how to express our emotion, and we might be having a depression, but we have poor appetite, so we won't know that we have depression. The general public or layman, they just say, "Doctor, I'm not eating well." And that's how you do your detection and your conduct or your assessment. Wouldn't you agree? So if, let's say, I need something for you, it's like further collaboration on maybe, you know, to further highlight the impact, you know, how impactful it can be to involve more GPs to support the ground. Yeah, to look at it holistically. That is like also for GPs to collaborate with those people working at the ground. Yeah.
I think that's lovely, and I think it would be really nice to make a commitment for us to kind of work together on how we build those bridges, particularly between general practice, and ensure that our GPs are more able to identify people who perhaps do have those mental health problems, in particular men. We've been talking about a lot today, I think, who often struggle to talk about their feelings, and maybe that's something that I could help with, and then think about how we create a kind of common language between GPs and phenomenal leaders like you in the community who will be able to help people access the kind of support and the care that they need. So maybe that's a commitment that we could make to work on that together.
Sure, sure. Because I'm rather worried. You're so right about the men's mental health or men's mental well-being. How many of you guys over here will share your personal challenges with your friend? Okay, just few, not all, right? So it's very important. And most of the time when we organize community events or health events, most of them are female. You will only see mostly female participants attending the health events or mental health events. Very seldom you see guys coming forward. And sometimes we believe in the culture, maybe it's the culture, or guys, you're supposed to be strong and tough, you're not supposed to be weak or appear to be weak. So, yeah, so right, yeah.
Fantastic. So I think in that case, should we make a commitment to do that together and exchange gifts? And we'll... we'll say,
see, they are laughing. They are laughing at us.
He's trying to get off the stage.
Yeah.
I
Thank
love the
you,
fact,
Posh.
I'm sorry,
I love
I'm
the fact
sorry.
Posh has talked about expressing emotions, and I'm delighted that you've demonstrated that today, Posh. Now, I'm also intrigued now to know what the gift is. I hope you've kept it appropriate.
What? Oh, yeah, lovely.
What do we have?
So I have from the UK. I have some very special biscuits from Fortnum and Mason, which is where the royal family buy. Is what, and I knew only the best for you. I could tell already.
See, you see what I mean?
And although this is probably not necessarily going to help with our healthier SG, it's certainly going to help with a happier SG, and that feels important for mental health.
Yeah.
So
Thank you, thank you.
So I put that in here.
And I have for you, actually bought by the team, thank you so much for your effort to shop for those items, chocolate crepes.
Fantastic.
I don't mind feeding you.
Okay. This trip has brought me so much more than I'd ever imagined. Okay.
I think BFF has been very literally interpreted. Let's have a big round of applause for our wonderful final pairing of BFFs. Thank you so much to all 6 of you. Thank you, guys.
Wow, bringing BFFs to a whole new level. When we designed this segment, I think the scientific committee felt that, there may not be much chemistry. And then look at that.
I'm not sure if anyone else, does it feel like the aircon has been offed? Whoa.
All right, it's time for our final center stage speaker. He keeps saying he's got many tough acts to follow, and we did give him a very prickly challenge of summating the now in health and social care, warts and all. giving us some signposts for the future, but most importantly, ending hopefully with a call to action as well. So please welcome Professor Teo Yik Ying, Dean of the Saw Swee Hock School of Public Health and also a CHI Council member.
Good afternoon, everyone. So I did give Hong Tim a warning that, and actually a request that he could take me off the stage because it's really a tough act to follow after what has been a very amazing day. I'm an academic, and I don't think that doctors, healthcare workers, nurses, allied health workers, including the social partners that are present in the room, wants to really hear from an academic. But I will try my best. But before I start, if I could just request that you indulge me a little bit, because as an academic, I attend a lot of conferences, summits, meetings. But I have to say, Hong Tim, Tan Sin, Che Heng, you guys have organized a fantastic event. So, and it's not only just the organizers, but I think the audience, all of you could probably sense a sense of energy and a buzz. Because not often you go to a meeting and you get so much interaction, free ice cream, interesting debates from GCEO with CMIOs. I think that really highlights the amount of planning and attention to details to really try and bring the health and social sector together. Working in public health, we really do see the importance of health and social community really coming together, because earlier this morning, when there was this introduction on who comes from the health sector, I didn't know whether I should raise my hand. Who comes from the social sector? I also didn't know whether I should raise my hand. But because we work with both health, social partners, government partners, I think this is really where I can see the potential of it. But I won't actually try to summarize this because it is impossible to highlight or summarize all the great insights that we learn, including from Project Dignity, including from what we see in Thailand, across the space. So I think what I'll do is perhaps take a step back and really look at some of the situations or developments that's happening. And I'll just pick 3 points because I know I'm standing in between you and a very nice Friday evening with family and friends. So I will make it short. I think the first point is really around megatrends. Most of us would have realized that there are megatrends happening in the world right now. And I will just highlight 3 megatrends here today, because I think these 3 megatrends are directly relevant to what we've been discussing the whole of today. The first is really changing demography. I think Minister, when he talked about healthier SG, one of the very significant underpinning was aging populations. But it is important to highlight that aging populations doesn't just happen in Singapore. We have Professor Chechai, Thailand. Thailand is similarly undergoing a very rapidly aging society. We have China, we have many countries around us in Asia Pacific. So there are lessons to be learned, but that inverted pyramid that we see, it's going to pose a lot of significant challenges to health, to social matters, and I will highlight this too later on. The second mega trend is really around changing technologies. I think I don't have to say more, I'll just stop there. The third mega trend is around changing social norms. And I think that during COVID-19, we have seen what happened, not just in Singapore, we have seen outside in Western countries, in Eastern countries, how there is a greater distrust of state players, whether it is in health, whether it is in economy, that there is this distrust, there is a lot of misinformation and fake news happening. So all of these are mega trends that are happening in the world that will have a direct impact on how we deliver quality care. And I will come to describe what, in my opinion, I think is quality care when I sum up. This is my first point around mega trends. The second point is then, if we see that there are these mega trends happening in the world, what are we faced with from the health side? The health of population, the health of communities, and health of people. And I will make this very presumptuous and daring statement because I know at least half of you here are healthcare workers. Traditional health systems or traditional forms of healthcare have failed. And why do I say that? Because if we look at just the health budget for all countries in the world, whether it is developing countries, low and middle income countries, or advanced economies, which Singapore is one of them. We have ministers standing in front saying that our health budget is going to triple over the next 10 years. And why is that so? It's because traditional models of healthcare focusing on treatment, focusing on curing people with diseases, that has actually failed. And if we continue down this trajectory, I can assure you it is not just going to be Singapore. We work with many partners. I think earlier on there was a call for us to work with Cambodia by Kun Mechai. We work a lot with governments around Southeast Asia as well. And all of them come to us with the same request. I only have a limited budget, but the demands for health is going up increasingly. The expectations of people, whether it is with technology, whether it's with precision, greater precision, which Junet talked about earlier on, it will drive cost up. So if we continue to rely on traditional models, it is going to fail. And I think this is where we talk about Healthier SG. It is a major health reform. But why do I think that Healthier SG is going to be quite important? It's really because there is going to be a much stronger emphasis on health promotion, health preventive care, and also working with social partners. Now, for all the Singapore people in the room, or people who are from abroad but knows about the Singapore health systems for the past 2 decades, you would realize that this is the first time that we have heard a very concrete call to bring in community social partners. We have CHI organizing an event like this to really try and marry the partners. This is the first time. Maybe I'm still belong to that group, classified young, I hope, that I don't recall that in the past 20, 30 years, that Singapore's health system has actually gone through that innovation, that open-mindedness to try and bring in social partners. So I think this is why I feel Healthier SG is going to be important. Now, when we think about cost savings, and this is something I don't know whether there are civil servants from Ministry of Health here, but I think if we embark on Healthier SG, simply focusing on public healthcare expenditure, I think we are barking up the wrong tree. Because the true value of Healthier SG is going to come from the social benefits that we are going to get from greater productivity, that if I don't have to worry about diabetes, I can go to work and achieve greater productivity. I can care for my, hopefully, grandchildren one day. And I think all those are what we need. Perhaps academics, health economists, Joanne is not here now, health economists really need to have that mindset to think about how do we tell government that Healthier SG is never just about public healthcare spend, but it is about health of the people linked to human potential, human productivity, and a recurrent theme that we keep hearing a lot today, happiness. And later on, I will I'll end off with happiness because that was something we discussed as part of the council this week. Now, then when we start to talk about traditional models have failed, we saw Kun Mechai gave a very passionate description of how they have involved the schools. And if I ask again parents amongst you, have you ever had a chat with your children and ask them about what kind of health education, health messaging have they learned from schools? I guarantee you, it is not a lot. And of course, what does that mean for us? It does mean that when we start to think about partners, we also need to start thinking about perhaps schools, the Ministry of Education that are in our precinct, in our community. Are we starting to work with them? So that's the second that's the second point, that traditional models of healthcare have failed. Then I come to the third point, which is really about innovation. I think when we start thinking about innovation, there's always this tendency. Innovation is medtech, is health tech, is all these new gadgets, technology devices that's coming in. But I think today was a very good example that innovation actually includes social innovations, the way that we deliver new models of health promotion, of healthcare that is much more effective, perhaps in the community and social space. I will use 2 examples. One example was what has been highlighted by Kun Mechai around our Mr. Condon King, that you could see how he activated grassroots, and over here grassroots includes students in school, includes community people around changing stigma, improving access, improving literacy. The other example is about Japan. There's this Nagayama community that really talks about how do you offer an integrated model of healthcare, health promotion, marrying, I think one of the classic examples in Nagayama was childcare centers with old folks' home, or old folks aging centers, such that there is that interaction. And when that interaction happens, there is that effect on trying to promote greater activity, but actually at the heart of it, it comes back to one concept. It's about happiness. Because to the elderly, actually, they perhaps feel a lot happier with that kind of interactions. And actually, I think young kids just love to have attention. And with older people showering with them with a lot of attention, I think that's where they liked it. Now, when we start to think about innovation, this is where I must also send quite a sombering message that not all social innovations must be accepted, are good, and therefore ought to be rolled out. Because social innovation, just like health tech, medical innovations, must undergo that bit about evaluation. Must undergo that bit about, is it truly effective, cost effective to run, to deliver? It doesn't bankrupt the payer. And finally, does it actually address the equity issue? Now, equity was something that I think Harry talked about earlier on in her presentation, because equity in Singapore refers actually to that group of people that is often unseen. We don't really have a lot of health data on them because they don't come for their health checks. Even when health promotion boards, when your free clusters offer screening activities, vaccination activities, they are the ones that seldom come in. And so when we start to run a lot of our community activities, social activities, or even Healthier SG enrollment, this group of people are probably the ones that are not going to be activated. And I think that the greatest value for Healthier SG is going to come if we are able to find where this group of people are, involve social partners like yourself to mobilize, to activate, to change, to nudge them. Because if we try to rely on very, very overworked healthcare workers to try and find where this group of people are and to move them, I guarantee you, it will not succeed. So I believe in that part about evaluating for effectiveness, efficiency, cost effectiveness, and also, more importantly, the uptake. Now, those are the 3 points I make. Very boring, but I will just end off because I was given a role by Hon Tim. He says I must end off with a rallying call. So I don't know, short of painting myself and running around shouting freedom, I think at this point in time, I talk about how Healthier SG, it's a major reform. It is exciting time ahead because of this potential marriage. We have seen earlier on from Junaid's slide, you highlighted the determinants of health. This is where I will wear my academic hat on public health and then preach a little bit about what determines the outcomes of health or the health of a person. Generally, 5 things. If any of you were sharp enough, Junaid actually showed it. There's your own genetics, which typically we can't change. But Singapore, we invested in this program called National Precision Medicine to try and really understand who are those at risk or not. There is also your behavior, which you can see through government approaches, incentives, government actions to try and change behavior from our debating partners earlier on. We are tackling behavior as well. The third part, it's your physical environment. The fourth part, it's your social care, social community and your relationships. Your fifth part then is your healthcare. And in fact, Junaid's slides showed healthcare accounts for only about 10 to 11% of the outcomes of a person in relation to health. But what has Singapore, well, not just Singapore, what has most health systems do in this case? We have pumped all of our effort and financial investment to look after the health of a person solely into this health system, which only address 10 to 11% of the reason why a person's health is that way. What about the other 4 sectors? And more importantly, what about that social space? And I think this is really why we see that Healthier SG has that potential, but will that potential truly be realized? I don't know yet. My school, we are working with many partners, including the government partner, to make sure that we evaluate this carefully to ensure success. But If you look financially, now you would know why financial models for traditional healthcare or traditional health system will never make sense, will always fail, because you have 5 components of determinants of health. But where is the entire financial burden borne by? The medical sector, the health sector. Who is going to tackle the physical environment, the behavior, the genetics, and the social economics, the community? And I think this is the part why I believe that activities like today, or that passion, that rally call, I hope I have issued a rally call, why it's important. And I'll just end off with this point. Earlier on, I talked about happiness. Many countries benchmark the outcomes of a health system by 2 things. They look at life expectancy, and then they look at healthy life expectancy. And then, of course, they look at how much a country spends to achieve that. Singapore, I would say, we have been very privileged. Our life expectancy and healthy life expectancy are amongst the highest in the world. But sometimes I always wonder, just based on today's conversation, have you all ever thought about, instead of just talking about healthy life expectancy or life expectancy, have you ever thought about this concept of happy life expectancy? Because if I start to marry this happy life expectancy, what it means is that it's actually okay if some of our people have some illness. But if at the heart of it, they are contented, they feel fulfillment in their lives, coping with some illness may still be a necessary journey. And if our fixation is always trying to narrow that gap between healthy life expectancy and life expectancy, are we actually missing what is the whole point of health? So this is where I'm going to try and use and show how bad my Chinese is. I'm going to say this phrase. 中国古典有一个叫做《黄帝内经》，《黄帝内经》曾经有3句话。第一句话是“下医医以病治病，中医医将病治病，上医医未病治病”。And I will now translate it into English. It's from the Yellow Emperor. It's a document that was about 2,200 years ago that highlight. I will change the E from doctor to health system. The document 2,000 over years ago actually states the inferior health system treats full-blown diseases. The mediocre health system attends to impending disease. The superior health system prevents disease. And I hope now you can see why there is a need for health systems, not just in Singapore, to really start to decide, out of the 5 determinants of health, are we always going to rely on the health system? Or are we going to start thinking about how do we involve our social partners, our community partners, to activate that change? The only problem when I cite that document is that they talk about the health system, but they never actually talk about how do we prevent disease. With that, thank you very much again.
I think you put on your academic hat when you did this masterful synthesis of the entire day's philosophies and thoughts, but then you threw it away and you became a very passionate advocate for health and social change, and above all for happiness. So thank you. Another round of applause for YYTO, please. Amazing. Almost at the end, just one more thing to do, a very nice thing, and let's bring back the Big Boys Band for their last act.
Yes, thank you very much. We are back to close off the day with you guys. So my name is Kim, and the guys coming out on stage, they are the Big Boys Club, setting up very soon. So there might be some people who are not with us earlier on in the day for this earlier session, right? So basically what we did was we built bridges between different types of genres and instruments. You have clearly more traditional instruments over here. You have more modern instruments, electric instruments over here. And just like that, we're going to try to bridge the gap between health and social sectors as well. All right. So I believe we're going to split the room. Yes. Okay. So how about this side of the room? Let's find a middle ground. Okay. Anyone on the right side of this screen over here? Everyone over here? You guys are health. Okay. And everyone on this side, you guys are social. for now. All right. So the health side, we're going to be helping out with the drum. So let me put this down for a second. Okay. So let's recap what you need to do. This side of the room, just help me out, okay? We're going to recap. It's chest and clap. Okay, yeah, let's do it again. Chest, clap, chest, clap, chest, clap. Okay, and the second part is chest, tap, tap. Right? Again, chest, tap, tap, chest, tap, tap, chest, tap, tap, chest, tap, tap. Okay, so we combine it together. That's what we need you guys to do. And we're going to do chest, clap, chest, tap, tap. All right? In 3, 2, 1. Chest, clap, chest, tap, tap, chest, clap, chest, tap, tap, chest, clap, chest, tap, tap. All right. So that is your sector. All right? So for the other side, yes, I need to pick up my golden chopsticks. Do you guys still have the chopsticks from your bag? Absolutely. If you guys didn't wash them from lunch, don't use lah, okay? It's quite gross, really. Yeah. Okay, just get the chopsticks. Oh, thank you for helping. Yes, okay. Thank you. All right, we're going to have some help on both sides. Yes, our MCs are back. We'll see. We'll see. Okay, so just to remind you, we're going to get the beat going in a bit. Yes, it's that sound, okay? Okay, and, yep. Just follow along, yep. Yep, you're doing it. I know it's not easy, try your best. Yes, okay. Okay, do you think we can try it together? Both together? Can we try it together? Can, okay. We try, okay? We try. Our drummer's gonna go. You guys keep going. Yep. Yep. Follow my friend over there. And keep going. All right. That sounded really good. So this is it, okay? This is it. Very well done. Firstly, a round of applause. That sounded actually really very cool. It looks very good from down here. Now, we're going to put it together for one final song. So this is the actual song. This is the combination of the past, 2,000 hours that you guys have been sitting in this auditorium, right? So you guys ready for this? Oh, yes. Everybody, let's stand up. All right. If you can, just get on your feet. If you're tired, it's okay. But please come and join us if you can. Let's finish up today's session with a real nice, fun one, okay? So remember, on this side, you guys do the body claps. You just follow our friend at the side. And then here, we're going to do the chopstick. I'll help on this side also, okay? Okay, we ready? Okay, guys, ready? Yeah. Good job, everyone. Thank you so much. I believe your hosts still have one last thing to say to close up the show. But before we go, I just want to say, can we give another big, huge round of applause to the Big Boys Club? Thank you so much, guys. Hey, my name is Kim. Thank you so much. I hope you guys enjoyed yourselves today. I'll hand it over to our MCs.
Big boys club, everybody. One last round of applause.
Thank you.
Thank you. One more round, right? Oh, they're doing a last flourish, I think. Is it a one last flourish? One last round? Oh, yes. Okay, sorry. That's right. We should wrap it up. Okay.
Oh, that means
All
we
right.
have to do a flourish.
That's our job, I think, yeah. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, we've come to the end of the conference, and we hope you've had a great day. I think we've had a fantastic day as well. Can we give a big round of applause to all our speakers, our debaters, our panelists, our BFFs, ex-presidents of the United States, ministers.
There's a long list. I think
That's right.
we also must thank our sponsors and supporters. Those of you who got the ice cream, I'm jealous. But we must mention NEC, Asia Pacific, NHIC, Singapore Pools and Intellect, as well as the 23 exhibitors downstairs. Thank you all for making today possible.
Thank you very much. I also have to thank, I think we have to thank a very, very special group of people,
Oh, we do.
the scientific committee for this year's CHI Innovate. Please give them a round of applause. They brought you the magic. Thank you very much. I think it was our pleasure to be part of this group. And guys, we've got dinner in about a week or two together, all right? That's when we get drunk. All right. And most of all, to all of you today for being such a wonderful audience. You know, I think we've gone against the stereotype of boring Singapore healthcare audience. Maybe it's because of the social care people. That's why we sort of opened up. And your presence has really made this whole thing very memorable. For us, I think it started many new conversations. There was honesty from the very point that Posh started speaking all the way to the very end with that fantastic call to action by YY. I think there have been so many moments to remember. Yeah. And
I am hoping that we haven't been too controversial this year, because every year I think we up the ante, and I think today was tremendous in that respect, and I'm very excited, because that's what we need to do to start a bit of a movement, right?
this is radical, this is new. We weren't sure if it will work, but I think you all made it happen very much. Thank you.
If we do make it to next year,
Yes.
number one, you need to give us good feedback, everyone, but number two, what will we be talking about?
Well, next year we've got a date already, so please put it in your calendars, 4th and 5th of July, and the theme is going to be sustainability in healthcare, how we affect the environment and how the environment affects us. So that's going to be a brand new thing for all of us to address, at least in Singapore. Well, that's it. Can I ask you all to give also a huge round of applause to Tamsin?
Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you. And he never gets a round of applause, so please, please, a big cheer for Hon Tim. Thank you so much.
It's fantastic.
Thank you.
Thanks for holding fort when I was a little bit late.
It's been an interesting day, I think we all agree, but I think we came through swimmingly. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, everyone. That's it. Have a great day. See you next year.
Thank you. Bye-bye.